Welcome to On the Rise podcast. I'm Matt Ricker, here today with Sarah Haq from the class of 2019, licensed real estate salesperson at Houlihan Lawrence right here in Rochelle. Sarah, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, so, you're nice and local. You're right down the street. Your office is not even 5 minutes away, so very convenient. But before we get started, a little fun fact. So Sarah and I actually both went to Rochelle High School. We're a year apart, and then we both attended Iona again a year apart. So such a small world, and
It is.
I'm sure it was nice to stay in the city that you were born and raised in, to go to college and high school in. So Sarah, tell me a little bit about your education here at Iona, and being that you were born and raised in Rochelle, as I mentioned, what made you choose Iona?
So I would say first and foremost, I had a family member that attended Iona a little while ago. And of course, it was before I came to school here. And he's very, very successful. So I was inspired by that. That's my first reason. Secondly, a lot of people that I know either work at Pepsi or IBM, etc. They have good positions, and they also graduated from Iona College at the time, not university.
Right. Yeah. We both graduated from Iona College at the time.
Yes.
It's weird to say university now.
They've upgraded.
Yeah, I'm still getting used to saying it. But very nice. So when you were a student here, what did you major in?
International business, and I minored in economics.
Okay. So that leads me to my next question. Tell me a little bit about your career. I know you originally worked at several companies over the course of your career, including Enterprise and Compass. Did you always see yourself in sales, or did that develop over time?
So it really happened over time organically. I didn't picture myself in sales at all. And when people say that I'm in sales right now, I don't really feel like it's called sales. I'm basically advising people, right? I'm along a journey where it's very emotional.
Sure.
People are purchasing their first home. They're maybe going through a divorce. They are having their second or third child. There are a lot of emotions involved. So I wouldn't say it's more sales, it's more advisement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So being that you're in real estate, it is still considered a male-dominated field. How did you break into it? And can you tell me a little bit about what your first year in real estate was like?
Sure. So it was very difficult at the beginning. I was working very, very long hours. So I would wake up around 5. I'd start working at 5:30.
Wow.
I'd get home maybe around 8 o'clock.
Wow.
Eat real quick, go back to the computer. I was also simultaneously trying to get my real estate license. So the first year I didn't actually have my license. So trying to learn all the basics, like all the marketing, operations. I did all the accounting at the time. And then once I got my license during the first year, I started doing a lot of showings, inspections, appraisals, taking that load of work on. So it was a lot of different moving parts. Every single day looked different. The number one thing that helped me was mindset. So I always felt like I could get to the point where I know I can do this. I know I can be in this industry. I'm meant to be here. But that took a while. So the first year in real estate, I worked on developing the skills a lot. And then the first year that I went off on my own, which is technically year 3 in the business, when I opened up my own business within Houlihan Lawrence, I hired a coach. And that made a big, big difference for me. I remember the first meeting I had with her. I said to her, I don't feel confident. I don't know what to do. How do I portray that to my clients when I'm trying to help them purchase their first home, sell a home that they may have, rent a property when I personally don't even know what I'm doing. And she said to me, it'll come with time and experience. You have to be open-minded, learn, be a sponge. And so that's what I did.
And I think that really is great advice for anybody going into any field, especially if you're just starting out in a particular job or field. So yeah, that's great advice. So real estate can be unpredictable. How do you handle rejection or deals falling through, and how do you balance work with your personal life? I know, work-life balance is very important.
Yes.
And I'm curious as to how you manage that.
So when it comes to a deal falling apart, whatever's meant to be will be. That's what I tell myself. Everything happens for a reason. And say, I'll give you an example. I had a client that bid on a property in Mamaroneck. They were purchasing an apartment right by the water over there, and it ended up falling apart. It did not work out, but 2 months later, something came on in Riverdale. It's a different area. They ended up loving it even more.
Oh, yeah.
And that's how it happens. One deal falls apart, and then they end up loving where they end up even more.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that's a great story, and that can be applied to, basically anything, I think. I mean, if you are going for a job interview and you don't end up getting that job at a certain company, but then you get another interview at a different company.
You pivot.
Yeah. And it you end up being very successful and maybe even loving that company more than you would have thought.
Exactly.
And then how do you balance your personal and work life?
So this is something that I still kind of struggle with.
Okay.
As I stated before, when I first started in real estate, I was working from like 5:30 in the morning to, let's say, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. Now what I do is I allocate 5 a.m. to around 8 a.m. for myself. And then in the evening at 8 o'clock, I shut off the computer.
That's good.
Okay, but there are some rare instances. Say I do have a client that's bidding on a property, I'll have to pick up the phone at 10 p.m. But
so you know what the outcome is.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, that's.
But more boundaries.
Yeah. No, that's understandable. I think we're in a place in society now where, like, we are just all on our phones constantly, and I mean, I'm guilty of that too. As soon as I wake up in the morning, I will be opening my inbox and seeing, like, it's just how I am.
I mean, if you want to work 24/7, you could really work 24/7.
You could.
It's so unhealthy.
Yeah, I know, but we all do what we can, and we all have to take it one day at a time. So what role does networking play in career advancement, and do you have any tips for effective networking?
Of course. Networking is everything in your industry, whether it's real estate, accounting, whatever it may be. You're going to need it. It's a lifelong tool. Within real estate, I am typically, like, 75% of my business comes from referrals. So that is when a past client is sending me a new client. It's extremely important. And in terms of tips, I would always carry a business card. Always. Give it out. There's no need for you to hold on to the business card. Give it to someone. You could have 1,000. You should have all of them should be given away by the end of, 2-3 months.
Yeah.
Meet as many people as you can, because you'll start converting them into clients. Yeah,
and you've attended in September the Gales Go Further networking reception, and at the time it was the 5-year celebration. So you met a lot of students there, and I'm sure you made a lot of connections, and I'm sure you heard from some, hopefully.
Yes, I did.
So yeah, that's great. I'm glad to hear that. And you mentioned before the Iona connection. I'm sure you've had clients who, attended Iona, who are alum, who've used you to buy or sell a home.
Right. I also have a client currently that's going to be putting on a house on the market to rent out to Iona students. So.
Okay. Oh, that's great. So, Sarah, I want to say congratulations on being awarded the Gold Award winner at Houlihan Lawrence. This is the second year that you've won it, so a job well done there. And, to add, you've closed over $25 million in deals and also earned the Rising Agent Award in 2024 and 2025. So what does it mean to you to win that?
Thank you. Thanks so much. It's a little bit surreal. I'm excited and a little nervous, but more excited for the future to see where this goes. And it feels nice to be recognized for my hard work.
That's great. So what role has mentorship played in career development, and how have you sought out mentors throughout your journey?
Yes. So when I was making the move over to Houlihan Lawrence, that's really what I was looking for, some sort of support system. And that's primarily why I moved over to Houlihan Lawrence. Of course, we're number one in Westchester. They're number one in New Rochelle as well. But I really needed someone, AKA now it's my manager, Michelina Arminio, who is able to answer the phone if I call and give me advice, or I can explain an entire situation and break it down to her, and she can advise me and help and basically coach me on certain deals and certain situations. And so I was really looking for something like that, and I did find it here at Houlihan Lawrence. But also my third year of real estate, as I said before, I hired a coach. So I had Michelina, but then I also had a coach through Tom Ferry. I think he's very, very valuable. And he also has a podcast. So definitely for everyone listening, check him out. Tom Ferry's great. And yeah, I really just focused in on Michelina, and I had a coach. Her name was Tiffany. I don't have her anymore. I had her for the first year, like I said.
Okay.
But she really, really helped me place systems that I can use continuously and for every single deal.
Yeah.
I still utilize those systems today. So
that's great. So speaking of mentorship, you have graciously donated your time to our students here in Gales Go Further by mentoring.
Yes.
And you've also spoken to freshmen over 2 years in a row now. How do you like being a part of Gales Go Further and speaking to students?
It feels very rewarding, and it's a little weird to be back at the Iona campus, but it's also nice to give back somewhere where I learned so much, and I wouldn't be where I am today without Iona, so that's why I'm here.
It's great. So what advice would you give to alumni that are thinking about buying their first property, and what trends are you seeing right now in the housing market, and what mistakes do first-time buyers often make?
In terms of trends, we have low inventory. So there's not that many houses on the market, but we have a lot of demand from buyers. So what happens when we have low inventory and a lot of demand is that prices increase. That's what's happening in terms of trends. We're seeing a lot of highest and best situations where we have multiple bids on a house and the seller decides on a specific buyer in, let's say, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. The days on market are so minimal. So those are the trends that we're seeing. In terms of mistakes for buyers, it's very important to have a real estate professional that knows the area like the back of your hand. They need to understand that this portion of New Rochelle could be in a flood zone, right? It is actually in a flood zone. And then there's a portion that's not in a flood zone, but they do get flooding. And you'd only know that if you're a local and you're entrenched in the market, right? You know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, you have an advantage because you grew up here. You were, born here, raised here, went to New Rochelle schools, so you know a lot about the schools. So if they ask you, about both the city schools, and you're a graduate of Iona,
right?
So you have that experience to tie in there and give your advice on that as well. But if you're a real estate agent that moved from, let's say, Massachusetts, and you started working for a real estate firm or company and started selling, they may not know as much. I mean, you can read a book on the city that you're in,
right?
But it's different than
living here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So no, that's something to keep in mind there. So what would you say your favorite memory at Iona was? And if you could do it all over again, what would you do differently?
My favorite memory here is probably hanging out on the lawn. My friends and I would get a tapestry. We would lay down, soak up the sun, read a book, study, hang out, eat lunch.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
That's great. Yeah, a lot of memories out there on East Hill.
Yes.
And it's always nice when the weather warms up and the sun is out, and you can just sit there and study or read or take it all in. But in retrospect, is there any advice that you wish you had gotten earlier in your career that you'd like to pass along to others?
I would say follow your intuition, stick to your gut. Normally what your body is telling you is accurate, so listen to it.
Yeah, that's great advice. And, I also just want to say you should check out Sarah's Instagram and Facebook. She does a phenomenal job in explaining everything about the real estate market, about different trends, about advice for buying houses and selling. And your videos have been amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I do enjoy doing all the marketing. So check it out.
Yeah. What's your social media handles?
So it's Sarah Haq Real Estate on Instagram, and then on Facebook it's just Sarah Haq.
Okay. So let's end with some content recommendations. Have there been any books, podcasts, TV shows, or other content that you'd like to mention that you think would be helpful for others, or just if it's something you simply enjoy?
Right now I'm reading High Performance Habits by Brendan Burchard. I also like 30 Lessons to Lead by Dave Regina. In terms of podcasts, Jay Shetty's On Purpose, Tom Ferry's Real Estate podcast is good, and Best Life by You by Julia Furlipa.
Nice, some good choices there. A lot
Thank you.
lot of different things to pick from there. So, but Sarah, anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you very much for coming on. And, I'm so glad that you're involved in our students and in Gales Go Further. And I look forward to seeing you at future alumni events and alumni student events as well. So thank you for all your time and energy that you give to our students and to the community.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, that is all for On the Rise podcast. I'm Matt Ricker. We'll see you next time.